As someone born in March 1945, around the time the atrocities of Nazi Germany were beginning to become widely known, this 75th commemoration is particularly poignant for me, someone whose childhood was in the immediate aftermath of the Second World War in another of our great industrial cities, Sheffield. It perhaps did not cross our minds in those days why so many of our friends did not have fathers, or why we were at school with boys with Polish names, or had teachers called Rubinstein and Oppenheimer. At Remembrance Day services, the old men were World War I veterans, and the World War II veterans were younger than many of our parents. I travelled to school through a high street still scarred with burnt-out buildings from the Blitz, right until the late 1950s and beyond. The city of Newcastle suffered too. Over 100 civilians were killed and many more injured in several raids, and friends of my own aunt were killed by bombs which destroyed parts of Cheltenham Terrace and Guildford Place in Heaton. The Allies included forces from the USA, the Soviet Union, from all over the Commonwealth and from occupied Europe. Christian, Jew, Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Gurkhas, Free French, Belgians, and notably Poles and Czechoslovaks, who distinguished themselves in the Royal Air Force in the Battle of Britain. Meanwhile, civilians worked in factories and mines and shipyards. My wife's parents worked and met in the armaments factory at Vickers. Women worked in the land army. Children were evacuated from towns and cities. Scandinavian seamen were based in Newcastle, and today we can visit the Danish Seamen's War Memorial in St. Nicholas Cathedral. Every year, the city of Bergen presents a Christmas tree to our city to mark the wartime connections and friendship between our cities and nations. Those events are fading into history. 75 years on, Germany, Japan and Italy, as well as France, Belgium, Scandinavia and the Netherlands, are amongst our greatest allies and friends. Many of us buy German and Japanese cars and electrical and other goods. German, Austrian and Japanese companies contribute in significant ways to the economy of Tyneside and the northeast, notably Siemens, Liebherr, Egger, Nissan, Hitachi and Komatsu. Likewise, they're part of our own major export markets and will continue to be so. Links with our twin cities of Nancy and Gelsenkirchen, both themselves former coal mining areas, were formed very shortly after the end of the conflict, and we have a sister city too in Japan, Shinshiro, which means Newcastle. Today we remember those lost in that terrible conflict that ended in Europe 75 years ago, though it was to go on in the Far East until August. 55 million human beings perished for the opportunities and freedoms we enjoy today. In a world where there is again much conflict, we all need to remember their sacrifice and work to see that it was not in vain.